In this video, I'll be talking about some of the topics that you might see in SAT mathematics. Hope you enjoy. Good day, guys. In this video, I'll be talking about some of the mathematical topics that you'll see in the SAT. And some of these topics include algebra, solving equations, fractions, factorizing polynomials, and the laws of exponents, or some of you may know it as surds. I will first start off by reviewing all of these topics by solving a few questions. And once I finish reviewing all of these topics, it will be followed by a number of questions from these topics. Now, when you solve these questions, I'll advise you to press pause and try and solve it by yourself. And once you've finished solving it, come back and see the working and hence look at the answer. Now, without further ado, let us start. The first topic that I'll be looking at will be the laws of exponents. Now, let's quickly recap the laws of exponents. So, if we have, let's say, a to the power of n times a to the power of n, in which the bases are the same, what we'll do is we'll add the power. So it'll be a to the power of m plus n. In other words, if I have 7 to the power of 6 multiplied by 7 to the power of 8, we will have it as 7 to the power of 6 plus 8, which is equal to 7 to the power of 14. Now the next one, what we'll be looking at is a to the power of m divided by a to the power of n, which will equal to a to the power of m minus n. In other words, if we have 7 to the power of 9 divided by 7 to the power of 6, we will have 7 to the power of 9 minus 6, which is equal to 7 to the power of 3. Now, in these cases, you either can solve for a final answer or you can leave it as it is like this, depending on the question. And the last one we'll be looking at is if I have a to the power of m to the power of n, this is how we can solve it is by writing it as a to the power of m multiplied by n. And by giving an example, if I have 7 to the power of 6 multiplied by 8, this is same like 7 to the power of 6 times 8, which is equal to 7 to the power of 48. Alright guys, so let us continue. So this is a little bit review of the laws of exponents. Now let's look at radicals and how we can convert to fractional exponents. So let us say I have something as the fifth root of x raised to the power of 9. Now quickly, how we can write it as, we can write this as x to the power of 9 by 5 or 9 over 5. Alright guys, so in other words, if I have, let us say, another question is sixth root of x to the power of 7. This can be written as x to the power of 7 over 6. Alright guys, so this is how we convert radicals to fractional exponents. So we write the exponents as a fraction. Now also, let's recap a little bit about exponents. So if I have 4 or 5 to the power of 3, this is same like multiplying 5 3 times. So it is same like 5 times 5 times 5, which is equal to 125. Alright guys, so if I have n to the power of 4, this is same like n times n times n times n. Alright, so we are going to quickly recap some of this so we don't waste too much time. Now, in other words, if I have, let's say, 6 to the power of 3. Now, we know that 6 to the power of 3 is 6 times 6 times 6, which is equal to 216. Now, what if the question is asking us, what is the cube root? The cube root of 216. So, the cube root of the third root of 216, which will be equal to 6. Alright guys, so in other words, if we have, let me give you one more example. If we have the fourth root of 625, what we got to do is we got to find a number that is multiplied by 4 times, that gives us 625, and we know that it is equal to the fourth root of 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, which is equal to 5, right guys? All right, here we go. Now let us go a little bit into absolute value. So when we take a look at absolute value, we know that absolute value of A is equal to A, and we know that absolute value of negative A is also equal to A. Now let's say if we have a question, let's say I have the absolute value of, A plus 4 is equal to 17, and they're telling us to find the value of A. In this case, we can write it as two equations. Right guys? Because we know absolute value of negative will also be positive. So we know that A plus 4 is equal to 17. This is the first equation, and A plus 4 is equal to negative 17. In this case, if we subtract 4 from both the sides, we will have 17 minus 4 is 13. And here, if we subtract 4 from both the sides, we will have A is equal to negative 17. Negative 4 will be equal to negative 21. So we would have two values here. Right, guys, this is a little bit about absolute value.